everyone, my name is Putri Nurtasha, and in this occasion, I want to present one of the chapters on instructional technology and media book. There is chapter 3 on integrating technology and media into the instruction. This chapter examines how to plan the systematically for the effective use of technology and media. And here, I have constructed 6 steps of procedural model, which the acronym of ASSURE. Number 1 is analysis learner. Number 2 is state standards and objectives. Number 3 is select strategies resources. Number 4 is utilize resources. Number 5 is require learner participation. Number 6 is evaluate and revise. The purpose of Analyze Learner is to identify and analyze the learner characteristics shown to be associated with learning outcomes. Okay, there are 3 key areas to consider during learner analysis. Number 1 is general characteristics of learner. It is critical to understand the general characteristics that may influence student learning. These characteristics range from constant variables such as gender and ethnicity to those that vary on a regular basis, such as attitude and interest. Number 2 is specific entry competencies. A critical component of designing lesson is to identify the specific entry competencies of students. Entry tests are assessments that determine whether students possess the necessary prerequisites for the competencies to benefit from the instruction. The last area is learning differences and needs. To ensure learning for all students, the teacher must identify and analyze the unique differences and needs of the individual learners. According to the Howard Gardner's 2011 Conditional multiple intelligences research suggests a person can have varying abilities in 8 areas. Number 1 is verbal linguistic. Number 2 is logical mathematical. Number 3 is visual or spatial. Number 4 is body kinesthetic. Number 5 is musical. Number 6 is naturalistic. Number 7 is interpersonal or intrapersonal. The last is existentialist. Then about state standards and objectives. The learning objectives are derived from curriculum and technology standards, descriptions of expected students' performance outcome established at the school district, state, or national level. And it is important to state the standards and learning objectives for each lesson because they serve as the basis for the following these critical components of the ASSURE lesson plan. In this part, there are 3 components which include in the state, standards, and objectives. Number 1 is the importance of standard and objective. In this part, there are 3 bases here. The first one is strategies, technology, and media selection. The second one is assessment. And the last one is student learning expectation. Then the second component is the ABCDs of well-state learner objective. Number 1 is the audience. Number 2 is behavior. Number 3 is conditions, and number 4 is degree. And the last component here is learning objectives and individual differences. Learning objectives are not intended to limit what students learn, but rather are intended to provide a minimum level of expected achievement. Incidental learning should be expected to occur and should be encouraged because learning takes differ form with different students. Next, about the select strategies and resources. The next step is creating effective lessons that support learning through the appropriate use of technology and media. It is the systematic selection of instructional strategy and resources. There are three guidelines here. Number one is select strategies. All instructional strategies, whether teacher or student-centered, should engage students in effective learning. The strategies should be designed to encourage students to believe that they the competence to success and enough control in the learning process. And number two is select resources. When selecting resources for issue lesson, decisions are made regarding the technology and media and types of support materials needed to achieve the lesson outcomes. And the last is selecting, modifying, or designing materials. These steps involve three general options. The first is selecting available materials, and then modifying existing materials, and the last is designing the new materials. Next, about utilized resources. In the utilized resources, involves planning your role as a teacher for utilizing the lesson resource. There are 5 processes here. The first one is preview resources. Then the second one is prepare resources. And the number 3 is prepare environment. And number 4 is prepare the learners. The last one is provide the learning experience. In the preview resources, at this stage, you need to preview the selecting technology and media resources in relation to the learning objectives. And for the prepare resources, you need to prepare the resources that will support your instructional activity. And for prepare the environment, wherever the learning is to take place in the classroom, in the laboratory, or at the media center, the facilities will have to be arranged for the effective use of the resource. And for the prepare the learners means that how learners are prepared for the lesson. And the last, provide the learning experience. A teacher-centered learning experience often involves a presentation, the demonstration, drill and practice, or tutorials. Next, about required learner participation. This follows constructive view that learning is an active mental process built from the relevant authentic experiences or practice for which students receive the information, feedback, and response from students that they have achieved the objective and how to improve their performance. The last one is evaluate and revise. The final components here is also the evaluate and revise. It is essential to the development of quality instruction. Without this step, it is often impossible to know whether instruction is successful or how to revise the unsuccessful strategies. Okay, here there are 3 types of the evaluate and revise. The first one is evaluate impact on student learning. The second one is evaluate and revise strategies and resources. The last one is revision of strategies and resources. Okay, I think that's all about the explanation about the Azure model. Enjoy your time and thank you very much.